Hello and welcome to National Focus. I am Julian Morris. In the headlines: Public Consultations shape 2026-27 national budget, improved hurricane shelters boost storm readiness, and government considers reform of import duty system. The details of the headline stories and more when we return. Welcome back. Public input is playing a key role in the preparation of Dominica's 2026-27 national budget as government engages stakeholders through a series of consultations across the island. The consultations provide an opportunity for representatives from various sectors, community groups, and members of the public to share their concerns, priorities, and recommendations ahead of the finalization of the national budget. The first in the series of budget consultations took place in Marigot on Monday and focused on issues related to housing, road development, agriculture, fisheries, and tourism.
National development cannot be shaped by government alone. The budget affects every community, every sector, every household across Dominica. And therefore, the perspectives of citizens, the community organizations, businesses, producers, trade unions, youth organizations, civil society groups, and other stakeholders are essential in helping us shape the priorities that will guide national development and investment and public policy as well.
The consultations form an important part of the budget preparation process, creating a platform for citizens and stakeholders to contribute to decisions that will shape the country's future.
We begin these consultations at a time when Dominica's economy continues to demonstrate resilience despite a rapidly changing and uncertain global environment. Over the past year, economic activity has continued to expand. Current projections estimate economic growth of approximately 4.5%. This growth has been supported largely by strong tourism performance, continued public and private sector construction activity, investment in productive sectors, and significant capital expenditure across infrastructure, resilience, and social development. Tourism performance remains encouraging, and several strategic investments are positioning the country for long-term expansion. These positive developments have also been recognized by international partners and institutions. Recent assessment by the IMF indicates that Dominica's economy continues recovering strongly, supported largely by tourism, construction, and resilient investment, while inflation remains relatively moderate and financial stability remains intact.
Recommendations and concerns raised during the consultation will now help to inform the preparation of the 2026-27 national budget.
We have taken note, I have taken note of what you said. I've read to myself, so that there can be a follow-up, and when we're having the discussions at the cabinet level, that those points are properly taken care of and so on. Some of what you said they have a financial implication, some is policy, some is legislation. And this is what the budget is about. It's really a financial statement, a legislative statement, and also a policy statement. And so we will take note of those points, all of which are very sensible suggestions coming from the floor, and people willing to work together towards realization of what we want to see happen in our communities, what we want to see happen in the country. So I'm very happy for the conversation, the sincerity of the points made, the forthrightness of the points raised, and the articulation of the points. I think everybody who spoke was very well articulated, very pointed, and very well researched with the suggestions that it made. And I think it only augurs well for your communities and for the country as a whole.
Yannick Regis has been elected as the new president of the National Youth Council of Dominica. He was elected following the Council's General Assembly on Saturday, 30th May 2026 at the Dominica China Friendship Hospital Amphitheatre. The other members of the newly elected executive include Chairman of the General Assembly, Jemima Mills, First Vice President, Dylan Regis, Second Vice President, and Cano Winston, Communications Lead, Shervin Dominic, and Assistant Secretary Treasurer Nicole Eustache, with Desiree Burnett and Janique Hippolyte serving as the Executive Committee members. Mr. Regis says that he hopes to use this opportunity to give back to the National Youth Council.
Well, I think the opportunity came up and I really took a step back and thought to myself, this might be my last chance in getting a chance to represent the National Youth Council at the presidential position, seeing that I am 32 years of age right now and the cutoff is 25, of course. So really and truly, I thought this is a great opportunity to help build back the NYC, seeing that I was a former member of the NYC. And I took advantage of it. I got a lot of young people to tell me, go up, Yannick, we will support you and we'll back you. We need your help. So really and truly, it was a number of different things, a number of different factors coming together to really and truly get me to go up. And I really took advantage of the opportunity, and I'm happy that I did.
He says he was humbled by the support and trust shown in him by his peers.
It's a very humbling feeling, really and truly, getting so much support from my peers, from my friends, and everyone else who came and really showed love and really supported us today. Winning 59-6 is a huge victory, but it just shows that the youth of Dominica, we value hard work, a voice they know, a voice they trust, a voice they can depend on, as opposed to pretty words and fancy clothing. So all in all, I just feel like this is a great opportunity for young people to come together and let us try and lift up each other and try and make Dominica the best country for young people on the island.
One of the first goals of the new executive is to have meetings with the country's youth so that they can interact on a more personal basis.
One of the first things I want us to do is meet with the different youth groups in the different districts and let us hear from them. Let us hear what they want and what they want from us before we try and impose on them. I definitely would like to know what is it that they need from us and what are the areas that they need us to address, and let us see how we can meet those gaps and see how we can address as many of them as possible for the 2-year period.
He says he's excited to work alongside the rest of the executive to advocate for the country's youth.
I have a very, very, very talented group of young people that I am blessed to be the leader of, and I'm definitely think that we are going to come together. We haven't decided who the General Secretary or the Treasurer will be as yet, so we're anticipating doing that in the coming days. And yeah, I just love that these guys are a group of smart, intelligent young people who have experience in leading different youth groups around the island. And I definitely think that this is a team to be reckoned with, and we're going to make a lot of noise in terms of youth advocacy.
This executive will serve from 2026 to 2028. The way import duties are calculated in Dominica may need to be reformed, according to government, as concerns grew over the cumulative impact of taxes and the charges on imported goods. The issue was raised during the first in a series of national budget consultations held on Monday, where Prime Minister the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit suggested that the options such as tax reform and a simplified tax structure should be explored. The Prime Minister noted that the current system of applying duties and taxes on imports warrants further review and consideration.
One, it has been done in a compounded manner. So you come, you import duties, then you go on excise tax, and then you pay VAT, but you pay these things. So the import duty is added to the price, and then you pay excise to that, and that, and so forth. So there's compoundation. So the question I have for you is, should we not look at a different method? I know we've had this compounded system since we had customs and excise, as even before independence. So it's something that we need to put on the table to get the views of the public on this. And of course, you have the other issue of the inclusion of the freight on the duties. Now, you buy something, say for example, in California, it has to be transported by container inland, so from California to Miami, and that's a freight. And then from Miami to Dominica, that's another freight. You understand? And the question is, should that not be revisited? or reviewed or reconsidered.
The Prime Minister expressed the view that reducing the cost of goods could stimulate greater economic activity, benefiting businesses while generating increased revenue for the economy.
The Ministry of Finance may say to me that we may lose money on this. I believe that the cheaper something is, the more you might buy. And then you will make more money that way. It's like a fisherman selling flying fish here in Marigot. It for $1, for $5. And then he, instead of giving us 16 for $5, he goes to West and he gives 10. By the time he gets to Ansdeme, he's ready to give people the fish for free. yeah. So after he has paid gas and transportation all this time and so forth. So he could have sold all the fish in Marigot, but he decided to go ahead, and the further he goes from Marigot is the more he gives for $1. So sometimes it's best to drive to Ansdeme and wait for the fish to come there. And we get it cheaper, you know. So these are things I believe that we need to put on the table as part of the consultation, so that now my views are not necessarily that of the government. So these are a cabinet decision on this yet, but I think that these are some things that we need to look at as a country to jolt the system.
You are watching National Focus. More when we return. Welcome back. Minister for Finance, Honorable Dr. Irving McIntyre, says while Dominica's economic indicators continue to reflect growth, the environment in which the country is operating remains extremely complex. The Finance Minister noted that small island developing states such as Dominica continue to face considerable uncertainty arising from global economic conditions, geopolitical tensions, climate-related vulnerabilities, supply chain disruptions, and fluctuating commodity prices.
We continue to operate within a context where a single major weather event can actually reverse years of progress, where external shocks continue to place pressure on public finances. And we just saw recently, a few weeks ago, right here in the east and northeast of the island. These fiscal realities require careful management. And so we must manage a balancing act to meet the needs of citizens. This is precisely why consultations such as these are important. This afternoon, government wants to hear directly from you on what you think is working in the country and where improvements are needed. We want to hear where opportunities exist and your recommendations on how government could fully explore these opportunities. This consultation represents an opportunity to strengthen partnership between government, stakeholders, citizens, and residents, and an opportunity to shape our priorities collectively.
Local Government Commissioner Glenroy Toussay says there is an improvement in hurricane shelters in Dominica. He was speaking on his department's preparedness for this year's 2026 hurricane season, which runs from June 1 through November 30. He attributed the country's readiness for the hurricane season to government's resilient housing development program.
Our shelter stock in Dominica has improved, and that is thanks to the government of Dominica, as part of its resilient housing development program, have assisted thousands of families in building better homes, better and resilient homes. Addition to that are the 3 regional shelters in Casabruce, Layu, and Jimit that has bush shelter capacity. So in essence, following Maria, we're in a much better position, and we continue to make improvement year after year. So our situation is better 2026 as opposed to 2025. So as we go along, we certainly improve in terms of our shelter management and shelter responsibilities overall in Dominica.
He adds that last year, government made an assessment which was done to look at the structural integrity of hurricane shelters.
Every year we do an assessment of the emergency shelters, and that is spearheaded by the Ministry of Public Works. So this year was no exception. An assessment was done, And basically what the assessment looked at is the structural integrity of the facility, the location of the facility, public amenities, and other areas of consideration as it relates to the shelter. And of course, the team for that assessment included people from the Ministry of Public Works, Housing, Social Services, the Dominica Red Cross, the Ministry of Culture, Youth, Sports and Community Development, and of course, myself as the chairman of the shelter subcommittee. And of course, following that assessment, 97 shelters were approved for the 2026 Atlantic hurricane season. We have a decrease of 2. In 2025, we had 99 shelters, and the 2, basically, one of the shelters in the Kalinago territory was compromised as a result of the trough of April 26. And the second one is that the people who were using the shelter, they've been assisted by government to enhance their infrastructure.
The local government commissioner is encouraging the public to know the location of the hurricane shelters.
We always encourage the general public to do is to know your shelters. Have a clear understanding where your shelter is. I know many times people, at the last minute, they want to go to the shelters and it's a little too late. So you have to know your shelters, and once you've made the determination that you are going to a shelter, once the shelters are activated, we are hoping that within an hour, even an hour or less, we're giving people some time. So if we activate at 5, by 6:30, we should see people there. And not necessarily activation at 5 and 10 o'clock, that's where people's coming in. You see the confusion? So we're trying to avoid some confusion.
And now your weather update. A strong high-pressure system is influencing weather conditions across the area, bringing generally dry and stable conditions over the next 24 hours. Residents can expect partly cloudy skies with only a few brief showers. A plume of Saharan dust will continue to affect the area over the next several days, with dust concentrations varying from time to time. This will lead to hazy conditions, reduced visibility, and poor air quality. Everyone is encouraged to limit prolonged outdoor activities where possible, while people with asthma, allergies, and other respiratory conditions should take extra precautions to avoid health complications. Sea conditions are expected to remain slight to moderate during the next 24 hours. Waves are forecast to reach about around 3 feet along the western coast and up to 7 feet along the eastern coast. Small craft operators should exercise caution, as reduced visibility from the Saharan dust may create challenging conditions at sea. Meanwhile, a tropical wave moving westward across the far eastern tropical Atlantic is being monitored as it continues its journey towards the region. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. Be sure to follow GIS Dominica on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitter. You can also drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm. From all of us here on the GIS News Production team, I am Julian Morris. Thanks for watching.